This is a highlight of my life, I would say. And
Oh, please, you must have something better.
Hello, my name is Sebastian. I'm a member of the TIFF Next Wave Committee, and today I'm going to be interviewing David Cronenberg. I'm nervous, I'm very excited, and I'm excited for you all to see it. David, thank you so much for taking the time to sit here with me. I did read that in your youth you thought that you would be an author and that you would kind of read books with the idea like, oh, one day I'll write one. But is that kind of true that you didn't really have that perspective on films? Like that kind of, oh, I'm watching this so that I can do that too one day?
No, I just saw movies as a kid every weekend, you know. Like, that was just what we did. That was before television.
Right.
If you can imagine such a thing. I mean, television existed, but not too many private people actually had a television.
Right, yeah.
So if you wanted to get that kind of storytelling, movie storytelling, you went to a theater.
Yeah. So your legacy as an auteur, if you will, in the horror genre is obviously undeniable, but I want to know, what are some kind of changes in the film industry that you've observed? Are there any that you find really positive or any that kind of worry you?
Well, the main one is the jump to digital.
Yeah.
And I think it's fantastic. And I have no nostalgia for film at all. I mean,
yeah.
I have nostalgia for films that were made on film, but I would never shoot on film, never edit on film. It's horrible. It's awful.
Yeah.
It's a terrible thing.
It's funny.
Digital is so much better. It's just like typewriters. I have great affection for typewriters.
Of course, yeah.
I used to fall asleep to the sound of my father typing.
Yeah.
But I would never want to type something on a typewriter. I was just told that I couldn't. I'd almost laughed. I mean, that Quentin Tarantino owns a cinema. Is it in San Francisco, maybe?
Something like that.
Okay, so he really wanted to screen the shrouds there, but wanted to have a print made so that it could be shown on film.
Right. Which is
No, that's not the film I made.
Yeah.
You know?
There's a kind of like phoniness of that.
Why would I submit the film to that indignity? It would have had to, the print would have had to been made, and the negative, obviously, in Mexico, because no one in the U.S. is doing it anymore.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
So it would be you want to screen it, it'll cost you $6,000 to get the print made, and then we'll screen it on film, and it won't look like the movie that you made.
I feel like a lot of younger filmmakers dream of shooting in film, because it's like you watch all these beautiful, warm, textured films shot on film.
You can get exactly the same textures and beyond on digital. There's nothing that, if you want it to be grainy and look like film, you can do that too. You
add the grain,
Yeah, you can do all of that stuff.
Yeah.
If you want that look, you can do it without actually having to shoot on film.
Yeah.
So to me, there's zero reason to use film.
I also wanted to ask about what advice do you have for up-and-coming filmmakers, especially those who kind of want to make more counter-cultural films?
I'm not sure that I have advice, because everything that was relevant when I was starting to become a filmmaker has completely changed. The landscape is completely different. And so, I mean, we independent filmmakers get together and we say, have you been able to finance your next project? No, I haven't either. That's where we're at.
Right.
So there are new ways to get into filmmaking, even if it's not mainstream. Mainstream right now is you get a deal with Netflix, you get a deal with Amazon. The Shrouds was initially perhaps going to be a Netflix series.
Yeah,
and I'm happy that I went to them, because they financed the first couple of episodes that I wrote, but they didn't want to ultimately make the series. Right. So I'm the last one to be able to say how to do it, because I haven't done that. You know?
I know The Fly was a major studio film, right?
Yes
How many
and no.
of those?
Yes and no. It was actually Mel Brooks for Fox.
Oh.
So and the Dead Zone was Dino De Laurentiis for Paramount.
Ah.
So I've always had another entity between me and the studio. Now, I have had some sometimes rather hilarious, absurdist experiences with studios. And in fact, the time that I spent with David Lynch, who I really liked a lot, he was a lovely guy, he was making DUNE, and I was making The Dead Zone, both of us working for Dino De Laurentiis. And he was a bit in despair. I mean, we went to Bob's Big Boy Burger house, which was his favorite place to go for lunch. And we would chat. And he said, you know, Dino, who was a very interesting man, Italian, Dino De Laurentiis, he said, I really like Dino, but he's no help. And what he meant was he was getting muscled around by the studio with DUNE. And recut and the demands for this and that and that. And Dino wasn't protecting him. And I was lucky because Dino was so obsessed with DUNE because it was his most expensive movie at the time. And so he left me alone with The Dead Zone. So I didn't, you know, accidentally, I got off easy that way. Even with the studio in the distance, the producing entity could also be disruptive, let's say. I mean, with Crash, the New Line they were a little nervous about it, and they actually said to me, I remember Marche was saying, David, I have only 2 words for you for Crash. You know, after I'd screened it for them, he said, voiceover. I said, what do you mean? He said, well, I think we should have somebody reading like the novel over your movie.
What?
And I said, Bob, that's ridiculous. I mean, that's, you know, have you read the novel? You really want that?
Yeah.
And that was going to be an issue.
Yeah.
Except that very soon after that, we were accepted into competition at the Cannes Film Festival without the voiceover. So that ended that discussion because that was a big deal. I can't even imagine
what that would look like. Well, I just want to say thank you so much for sitting down with me. This is a highlight of my life, I would say. And
please, you must have something better. Anyway, thank you.
Thank you so
It's a pleasure
much.
for me.
Thank you.